What if I told you the greatest comedy director of all time hated working with some of Hollywood's most legendary actors? At 98 years old, Mel Brooks just opened the vault, and the names inside will blow your mind. But here's the twist. The actor who frustrated him the most was also the one he loved the most. Stick around, because when you hear who that was, you won't believe it. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, because these stories only get crazier. Dom DeLuise wasn't just funny, he was a human hurricane of chaos. Imagine a grown man, perfectly trained to deliver a line, who suddenly forgets how to speak because the universe itself seems too funny. That was Dom. On History of the World, Part 1, Mel Brooks gave him one line, and the man laughed for 45 straight minutes. Every take turned into a free-for-all. Cameramen were sweating, the crew was exhausted, and Mel Brooks, he was losing his mind. He'd yell, "Dom, stop laughing," and Dom, helpless, would collapse into the floor, giggling like a kid who just discovered fire for the first time. But here's the twist. While Brooks wanted to strangle him, he also knew something magical was happening. That uncontrollable laughter wasn't just chaos, it was pure comedy gold. Every minute Dom laughed, Brooks realized he was witnessing something that could never be scripted. And here's the kicker. Even after Mel swore he'd never work with him again, he kept calling Dom back. Because that man's absurd energy wasn't just funny, it was legendary. And the world still remembers it today. But while Dom had Mel Brooks laughing until he cried, the next actor didn't make him laugh at all. In fact, she made him question everything he thought he knew about comedy. Madeline Kahn was like a force of nature, elegant, witty, and terrifyingly smart. On set, she wasn't just an actor, she was a storm. Mel Brooks would give her direction, and she wouldn't just follow it. She'd dissect it, debate it, question it like she was negotiating world peace. Imagine this. You're directing one of the funniest films of all time, and your lead actress calmly looks at you and says, "Are you sure that's the funniest way to do it?" Every note, every suggestion, every idea scrutinized, challenged, and often outsmarted. Mel Brooks said she drove him mad, but in the best possible way. Every scene with Madeline was a chess match. She would push boundaries, question absurdity, and then hit the punchline with perfection. It was exhausting, it was chaotic, and it was absolutely brilliant. And the juiciest part, her wild energy often clashed with Dom DeLuise's unstoppable laughter. On set, there were moments Brooks described as pure battlefield comedy. Dom rolling on the floor, Madeline standing like a genius general, delivering lines that would leave audiences in tears decades later. By the end of each scene, Mel would feel both utterly defeated and completely exhilarated. He said, "She made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing, and half the time she was right." Transition tease. For the next point. And while Madeline challenged him intellectually, the next actor would challenge him in a way he never expected. A dramatic legend stepping into a slapstick world and turning it upside down. If you thought the chaos ended with Dom and Madeline, you're wrong. The next actors didn't just challenge Mel Brooks, they turned the set into a live experiment in genius and madness, and one of them almost made him quit filmmaking entirely. Gene Wilder was more than an actor, he was a human lightning strike, unpredictable, electric, and brilliant beyond comprehension. On the set of Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks thought he had prepared for anything. He was wrong. Wilder didn't just act, he lived inside every scene, twisting it, stretching it, breaking it, and then handing it back with a perfection that left everyone speechless. Wilder's comedy wasn't just funny, it was dangerously clever. He would take a perfectly written line and add a tiny hesitation, a twitch, a whisper, and suddenly the entire scene exploded with new layers of hilarity. Crew members said they could never relax because you never knew when the lightning would strike. But here's the drama. Wilder's unpredictability also terrified Brooks. Sometimes he'd improvise in ways Brooks hadn't even imagined, forcing the director to scramble or rewrite on the spot. Brooks admitted, "Gene could make me feel like I was flying or falling off a cliff." And that edge-of-your-seat tension, that's what made the scenes legendary. And the kicker, Wilder's brilliance didn't just create comedy, it created legend. Every time audiences laughed at his genius, they were witnessing a perfect storm of chaos and control. He was funny, terrifying, and mesmerizing all at once. But while Wilder danced on the edge of genius, the next actor brought an entirely different kind of fire, a relentless force that could dominate a scene without ever saying a word. Cloris Leachman was a masterclass in power and precision. She could walk onto a set, say one line, and the entire room would pivot around her. On Young Frankenstein, she didn't just act, she owned every inch of the scene. And for Mel Brooks, that ownership was thrilling and terrifying. Leachman had an uncanny ability to balance absurdity with subtlety. Imagine delivering lines that are both hilarious and cutting, playful and terrifying, all at once. Every reaction was perfectly timed, every expression a story. The crew joked that she didn't just play her role, she rewrote the rules of comedy in real time. The tension came from her unpredictability. Sometimes she'd deliberately push a scene too far, forcing Brooks and the rest of the cast to react in ways they hadn't prepared for. And yet, every push landed perfectly, producing laughter that was both effortless and electric. She was chaos wrapped in control, a paradox that left everyone on edge. And the juicy part? She clashed and collaborated with Wilder, DeLuise, and Kahn in ways that could have destroyed the set or created cinematic magic. On any given day, Brooks described filming as like trying to conduct an orchestra of lightning bolts, and while Cloris commanded every scene with precision, the next actor would enter and completely flip the script, bringing intensity, unpredictability, and a scandal that would haunt Brooks for years. Just when you thought the chaos couldn't get wilder, two actors arrived and turned the set into pure controlled anarchy. One of them literally forced Mel Brooks to rethink his entire movie strategy, and the other, well, she turned awkwardness into cinematic genius like nothing anyone had ever seen. Marty Feldman wasn't just acting, he was a walking, talking force of nature. His eyes alone could steal a scene. His expressions could make the audience laugh, cry, and gasp in shock simultaneously. On the Young Frankenstein set, Feldman was untouchable chaos wrapped in precision. Imagine this. Brooks thought a joke was funny. Feldman improvised a twist so absurd, so brilliantly unpredictable, that the entire scene changed on the spot. Crew members said it was like watching controlled explosions in slow motion. You knew something would happen, but never exactly what. But here's the tension. Feldman's genius came with a price. His unpredictability kept Brooks awake at night, worrying whether the scene would implode or create magic. Feldman could swing a scene from hilarity to sheer madness in seconds, and the rest of the cast had to react like lightning just to keep up. And the best part? His timing was surgical. Every twitch, every glance, every hesitation was like a masterclass in comedic physics. The audience couldn't help but be pulled into the vortex of his brilliance. And while Feldman was bending reality itself on set, the next actor would enter and suddenly awkwardness turned into a secret weapon that could steal every scene, even from Feldman himself. So who did Mel Brooks hate the most? The answer is surprising. Dom DeLuise. The man who drove him insane with endless laughter was also the man he missed every single day. Because that's the truth about Brooks. His hate wasn't bitterness. It was creative frustration with geniuses who made his films timeless. And here's the big question for you. Which shocks you more? Richard Pryor never starring in Blazing Saddles, or Anne Bancroft refusing to let her own husband win on set? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe because Mel's Vault is still full of stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know.